The Stoic secret to success. Every successful person you admire is hiding something from you. And the Stoics figured it out 2,000 years ago. That is not a conspiracy. That is not an exaggeration. It is one of the most honest observations you will ever encounter about the nature of genuine success. And by the time this video ends, you will understand exactly what that hidden thing is, why almost nobody talks about it, and how you can begin using it in your own life starting today. We live in an era of visible success. Social media has turned achievement into a performance. The highlight reel of other people's wins is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The moment of signing the deal, the screenshot of the number, the photo at the summit, the announcement of the thing everyone has been working toward. And all of it is real. None of it is fabricated necessarily, but all of it is incomplete, because what you are seeing is the outcome. And the Stoics were never interested in outcomes. They were interested in something that comes before the outcome, underneath the outcome, that makes the outcome possible, and more importantly, that makes the person capable of handling the outcome when it arrives. They called it virtue, and they meant something by that word that is almost entirely different from the shallow, moralistic, finger-wagging version of virtue that modern culture has reduced it to. Today we are going inside the real Stoic secret to success. The thing the highlight reel never shows. The thing that separates the people who build something lasting from the people who achieve something temporary. The thing that Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca understood so clearly that they built an entire philosophy around it, and that the most genuinely successful people in every era have stumbled onto, whether they knew they were being Stoic or not. If you are new here, welcome. This channel is for people who are serious about understanding the deepest principles of Stoic philosophy and applying them to real life. Not surface level, not motivational filler, the real thing. Subscribe right now and hit the bell notification. We release these videos regularly, and every single one is built for people who want to go all the way in. Subscribe now. Let us go. 1. What the world calls success and why the Stoics rejected it. Before we can talk about the Stoic secret to success, we need to be honest about what the world means when it uses that word. Because the Stoics had a very specific and very intentional disagreement with the conventional definition, and understanding that disagreement is the first step toward understanding everything that follows. The world defines success primarily through externals: money, status, recognition, power, influence, the title, the following, the net worth, the award, the position. These are the metrics that the culture uses to sort human beings into winners and losers. And they are not entirely meaningless. The Stoics were not naive enough to pretend that material conditions have no relevance to human life. But the Stoics made a distinction that cuts straight through the conventional definition with the precision of a blade. They called external things money, status, reputation, position, preferred indifference. That phrase sounds strange to the modern ear, so let me break it down precisely. Preferred means, yes, these things are generally better to have than not to have. Having enough money is genuinely better than poverty. Having a good reputation is genuinely preferable to a bad one. The Stoics were not pretending otherwise. Indifferent means, these things are not the good. They are not what makes a human life genuinely successful. They cannot, by themselves, produce the thing that the Stoics considered the only real measure of a successful life. And that thing, the only real measure, was eudaimonia, a Greek word that is usually translated as happiness, but means something far richer and more specific. It means flourishing, the full realization of your human potential. The life that is genuinely and deeply good, not because of what it contains externally, but because of the quality of the person living it. The Stoics were making a radical claim. They were saying that you can have every external marker of success and still be living a failed life. And you can have very few of the external markers and be living the most genuinely successful life available to a human being. History confirms this. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world at the time of their writing, are saturated with evidence of a man who understood that his external position was not the measure of his life. His measure was the quality of his reason, his justice, his courage, his self-governance. And Epictetus, who was enslaved, who had nothing by the world's definition, whose body was literally the property of another person, is one of the most celebrated models of genuine human flourishing in the entire Western tradition. External success and genuine success are not the same thing. That is the foundation. And everything the Stoics teach about how to achieve genuine success builds from that foundation. 2. The 4 pillars of the Stoic secret. The Stoic secret to success is not one idea. It is 4 interconnected qualities that the Stoics called the cardinal virtues, and that they understood not as moral rules, but as the actual operating system of a genuinely successful human life. These 4 virtues are wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. And I want to go into each one in a way that shows you not just what they mean, but how they function as the actual mechanisms of success, the hidden engine that the highlight reel never shows. The first pillar, wisdom. Wisdom is the first and foundational Stoic virtue. And it is important to understand immediately that the Stoics did not mean by wisdom what most people mean by intelligence, knowledge, or education. Wisdom in the Stoic sense is the capacity to see things as they actually are and to know what genuinely matters. That sounds simple. It is not, because the human mind is a relentless generator of distortion. It sees what it wants to see. It interprets events through the filters of fear, desire, ego, past experience, and social conditioning. It confuses what is urgent with what is important. It mistakes what is visible for what is real. It calls what is comfortable good and what is challenging bad. Wisdom is the capacity to cut through all of that. To look at a situation, a challenge, an opportunity, a relationship, a decision, and see it with clarity. To know which things genuinely matter and which things only appear to matter. To understand the difference between what you actually need and what you have been conditioned to want. In the context of success, Stoic wisdom operates as the first filter through which all effort passes. Before you work hard, wisdom asks, is this the right thing to work hard on? Before you pursue a goal, wisdom asks, is this goal genuinely aligned with your rational nature and your deepest values? Or are you pursuing it because of fear or comparison or the expectations of others? Most people never ask these questions. They inherit their definition of success from their culture, their family, their social circle, and they spend decades pursuing it with everything they have, only to arrive, if they arrive at all, at a destination that does not feel the way they imagined it would. The Stoics called this the tragedy of the misdirected life, not a lack of effort, a lack of wisdom about where to aim the effort. Cultivating Stoic wisdom means developing the habit of examining your assumptions, asking regularly and honestly, do I actually believe this is what matters? Or have I just never questioned it? Do I actually want this outcome? Or am I pursuing it because someone whose opinion I value wants it for me? Those questions, asked with genuine courage, are the beginning of wisdom. And wisdom is the beginning of everything. The second pillar, courage. The second virtue is courage. And again, the Stoic understanding is more precise and more demanding than the conventional version. Courage in the Stoic sense is not the absence of fear. It is not the dramatic, battlefield kind of bravery that popular culture celebrates. It is something quieter and, in the daily texture of a real life, far more consistently required. Stoic courage is the willingness to do what is right, what is true, and what is genuinely necessary, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is unpopular, even when the outcome is uncertain. In the context of success, Stoic courage shows up in the moments that determine everything. The moment when you see clearly what needs to be done and every comfortable impulse in you says to wait, to delay, to find a reason it is not the right time. The moment when honesty is required and dishonesty would be easier. The moment when the crowd is going one direction and your genuine assessment says to go another. The moment when you need to begin something before you feel ready, which is always, because readiness is a feeling that arrives after you begin, not before. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not wait for the perfect conditions. They will never arrive. Do your work." That is courage, not the dramatic version, the daily version. The version that shows up every morning when the work is hard and the outcome is uncertain and the easier choice is always available and you choose the right thing anyway. The people you admire for their success, if you look closely at their actual story rather than the highlight reel, almost universally have this quality. Not luck, not talent alone. The consistent, quiet, daily courage to do the hard thing when the easy thing was available. That is the second pillar. The third pillar, justice. Justice is perhaps the most underappreciated of the 4 Stoic virtues in the context of success. Because when most people think about success, they think about individual achievement, personal excellence, solo performance. The Stoics thought about success completely differently. They understood that human beings are, by nature, social creatures. That we are embedded in relationships, communities, and systems of mutual dependence. And that genuine success, Eudaimonia, flourishing, is not possible in isolation. It requires the health of the web of relationships and community in which the individual is situated. Justice, in the Stoic sense, is the commitment to treating every person you encounter with genuine fairness, genuine care, and genuine respect for their rational nature and their dignity. In the context of building something genuinely successful, this virtue operates as the foundation of trust. And trust, real, earned, consistent trust, is the most valuable asset any person or enterprise can possess. More valuable than capital, more durable than talent, more powerful than strategy. The people who build things that last, the relationships that endure, the businesses that sustain, the reputations that compound over decades, are almost always people who have understood, whether consciously or intuitively, that justice in their dealings is not a moral luxury. It is a strategic necessity. Not because virtue is always immediately rewarded. The Stoics were honest enough to know that it is not, always, in the short term. But because over time, across the full arc of a life and a career, the quality of how you treat people determines the quality of what comes back to you in ways that no strategy can replicate and no shortcut can substitute. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee." You are the bee. Your community is the hive. Justice is not something you practice for others at your own expense. It is something you practice because your genuine flourishing is inseparable from the flourishing of the people around you. The fourth pillar, temperance. The fourth virtue is temperance, and this one is the most misunderstood of all 4, partly because the word itself has accumulated associations with joylessness and restriction that are entirely foreign to the Stoic meaning. Temperance in the Stoic sense is not the elimination of pleasure, desire, or appetite. It is the appropriate governance of them. The quality of knowing when enough is enough. The capacity to use what is available without being used by it. The ability to engage fully with the richness of life while remaining the governor of your own engagement rather than its passive subject. In the context of success, temperance operates as the quality that protects you from the specific kind of destruction that success itself so reliably produces in people who do not have it. Because here is the thing about success that the highlight reel absolutely never shows. Success is harder to survive than failure in some very specific and very important ways. Failure is painful, but it is usually clarifying. It forces honest examination. It strips away pretension. It reveals what is real. Success is seductive. It confirms your existing beliefs. It rewards the patterns that produced it, whether those patterns are actually virtuous or not. It attracts people who want proximity to it, making it harder to know who is genuinely in your corner. It creates the conditions for the gradual expansion of ego, the gradual contraction of self-examination, the gradual assumption that because things are going well, you must be doing everything right. The Stoics watched this pattern destroy people consistently. They watched accomplished people become undone not by adversity, but by success, because they had never developed the temperance to remain themselves in the presence of abundance. Temperance is the virtue that keeps you grounded when the world is trying to inflate you. That keeps you honest when dishonesty would be easier and more comfortable. That keeps you examining yourself when the evidence of your success is telling you there is nothing left to examine. It is the virtue that makes success sustainable, that makes it something you can carry without being changed by it in the ways that change always destroys. For pillars: wisdom to aim correctly, courage to act anyway, justice to treat others rightly, temperance to remain yourself through it all. That is the Stoic secret to success. Not a technique, not a morning routine, a character built deliberately, daily, through practice. 3. Why this secret actually works. I want to be direct with you about something that I think genuinely matters. The Stoic secret to success is not popular. It does not trend. It does not produce content that goes viral. Because it is slow. It is internal. It is not visible in a thumbnail or a screenshot. It does not produce dramatic before and after transformations that can be packaged and sold. What it produces is something quieter and more durable. Something that compounds over time in ways that the faster, louder approaches almost never do. Look at the historical record honestly. The people whose influence, whose work, whose contribution has lasted, not just for a few years but across decades, across centuries, are almost universally people whose success was built on a foundation of genuine character, of consistent virtue, of the daily, unglamorous, unremarkable practice of doing the right thing, thinking clearly, treating people with justice, and remaining themselves through success and failure alike. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the known world for nearly 2 decades and is remembered not primarily for his military victories or his political achievements, though those were real, but for the quality of his character, for the meditations, for the evidence they provide of a man who never stopped examining himself, never stopped trying to be better, never allowed his position to exempt him from the demands of virtue. Epictetus had nothing by the world's definition, and yet the philosophy that emerged from his teaching shaped Roman intellectual life for generations and continues to shape how human beings think about freedom, agency, and the good life 2,000 years later. The same pattern holds in contemporary life if you look beneath the surface of the stories. The people whose success is genuine, not just large but real, not just visible but sustainable, not just impressive but meaningful, are almost always people who have, whether through philosophy or through hard experience, arrived at something that looks very much like the 4 Stoic virtues. They think clearly about what actually matters. They do the hard thing when the easy thing is available. They treat the people around them with genuine fairness and care. And they remain, through success and failure alike, recognizably themselves. That is not an accident. That is the Stoic secret, operating in the lives of people who may never have read a word of Marcus Aurelius. Because the secret is not in the reading. It is in the living. 4. How to start living it today. Everything I have said so far is true, and it is important. And none of it is worth anything unless you do something with it. So let me give you the most practical possible entry point into the Stoic secret to success. There is one practice, one daily practice that the Stoics considered the foundation of all 4 virtues that you can begin today, right now, before this video ends if you choose to. It is the practice of the daily examination. Every evening, before you sleep, You sit with 3 questions. Seneca described his own version of this in his letters to Lucilius, and Marcus Aurelius practiced a version of it throughout the entire period covered by the Meditations. The first question is for wisdom. What did I actually understand today? Not what did I learn in the informational sense, but what did I see more clearly? Where did I cut through distortion and see something as it actually is? And where did I allow distortion to govern my perception? Where did I see what I wanted to see rather than what was actually there? The second question is for courage and justice together. Where did I do the right thing today? And where did I choose the comfortable thing over the right thing? Not to punish yourself, to calibrate, to see the gap between the person you are and the person you are choosing to become, and to reduce it one day at a time, one decision at a time. The third question is for temperance. Where did I remain myself today? Where did I act from my genuine values rather than from fear, from ego, from the desire for approval? And where did I lose myself? Where did I act from a place that was not genuinely mine? 3 questions, 10 minutes, every evening. That practice, done consistently over time, builds all 4 virtues simultaneously. It builds wisdom by training the habit of honest examination. It builds courage by regularly confronting the gap between who you are and who you intend to be. It builds justice by keeping the quality of your treatment of others visible and examinable. And it builds wisdom by training the habit of honest examination. It builds courage by regularly confronting the gap between who you are and who you intend to be. It builds justice by keeping the quality of your treatment of others visible and examinable. And it builds temperance by regularly asking whether you remained yourself, whether the person who acted today was genuinely you. This is the daily practice that underlies the Stoic secret to success. Not a dramatic transformation, a quiet, consistent, daily investment in the quality of your own character. And character, compounded over years, over decades, is the most powerful success mechanism that exists. Bar none, the Stoic secret to success has been sitting in plain sight for over 2,000 years. In the meditations of a Roman emperor who never stopped trying to be better. In the teaching of an enslaved man who understood freedom more deeply than most free people ever do. In the letters of a philosopher who wrote about the good life with the honesty of someone who knew his own time was short. It is not about working harder. It is not about optimizing your morning routine. It is not about the right strategy or the right network or the right moment in the market. It is about wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. It is about building a self that is capable of genuine success. Not just the external version that the world celebrates, but the internal version that the Stoics knew was the only kind worth having. That self is built daily, quietly, in the examination of your own thinking, the quality of your own choices, the honesty of your own examination, the consistency of your own virtue. It is the least glamorous and most powerful success strategy that has ever existed. And it is available to you, right now. Today, if this video gave you something real, something that shifted the way you think about what you are building and how you are building it, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below telling me which of the 4 Stoic virtues you feel is most needed in your life right now and what that means for the work you are doing. I read every single comment genuinely. Subscribe to this channel right now if you have not already done so. Hit the bell notification so you never miss a new video. We go deep every single time, and this channel exists for people who are serious about the examined life. 3 seconds. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Your success is not determined by the world's response to your effort. It is determined by the quality of the self that is doing the work. Build that self. Every day, one virtue at a time. Thank you for being here. Take care of your minds. See you in our next video.